Just ahead of that, nothing works anymore. The health service is a grim metaphor. Nearly 3 years ago, Boris Johnson announced that one of the goals of his COVID policy was to, quote, protect the NHS. Instead, the NHS has died. Over 7 million people are now on the waiting list. That's a record, but don't worry, a new record will be coming along in just a few weeks. 8 million, 9 million. This is in England alone, by the way, so we're not including Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales. We have an increase in deaths at home because you can't get into hospital even to die. Our stats man, Jamie Jenkins, thinks the excess deaths running at 1,000 a week or so all spring and summer is due to people not being able to go see a doctor and get diagnosed because you can't be treated for what you've got until you know what you've got. But just because nothing works doesn't mean it can't be made worse. So you call 999 for an ambulance and then lie on the ground in agony for 15 hours, like this poor man did, 87 years old, waiting 15 hours on the ground in the rain for an ambulance. And then eventually they show up and they drive you to hospital, where your ambulance sits idling in the car park for another 15 hours or so. So far, so typical. And there you go. That guy's, he just had a heart attack waiting to get, he was already in the ambulance before he had the heart attack, and then he went into cardiac arrest while he's in the car park of the hospital. So far, so typical, and we'll talk about that with Leilani Dowding a little later. But now there's a new wrinkle. The street is blocked by the street your ambulance is driving down. Here's one. That ambulance is trying to get through to a hospital, but the street is being blocked by so-called activists from the group Just Stop Oil. They're not terribly active as activists go. They're just lying down in the road. But because they're even more inactive, useless, well, there they are lying down in the road, in the Mall, in front of the Queen Victoria Memorial. She has just been sitting there for 120 years. She's got a good excuse because she's dead. They're sitting there for an entirely different reason. And the Metropolitan Police do not do a thing to remove them. So they prevent ambulances and fire engines from getting through. So I don't know whether they've actually succeeded in just stopping oil, but Just Stop Oil have just stopped the emergency services. So next time there's a Grenfell Tower-type fire and you're stuck in the thing, you better hope Just Stop Oil are taking a day off. The Metropolitan Police constables are very indulgent of these fellows, whether John Constable, no relation, the great English landscape painter would feel the same way about Just Stop Oil is another matter. The National Gallery Just Stop Oil members glued themselves to his masterpiece, the Haywain. This is the Haywain. That's them. That's the Haywain without Just Stop Oil guys glued to it. I prefer it the old way. I don't think it's a fabulous painting. I don't really think it needed environmental activists stuck to it. They managed to do some surface damage there to one of the great glories of English art.